How's it going, everybody? I am DeanoGTO, and today we're looking at the Caernarvon AX Tier 8 Premium English Heavy Tank. And as you can probably tell, it's basically a Centurion Action X turret with a 20-pounder gun mounted on the classic version of the Caernarvon's chassis, or hull. It's probably the better way to describe it. So, a couple of notable things about this tank is it has a devastatingly good rate of fire. It has a 20-pounder gun. It has, I think, the lowest alpha damage out of all Tier 8 heavy tanks. It only has like about 50.8 side armor, so the side armor is not that good. It's okay, you can side scrape sometimes with it, but it's not recommended. This tank really prefers to be hull down in most scenarios, because that not only helps hide this weak point on top, but it also just means that you don't really have to deal with some of the weaknesses of the hull armor. Like, this thing also has a pretty weak lower front plate as well. So, this tank was actually a marathon reward vehicle. It could actually be earned for free from like I believe it was like a 10 mission sort of set, but yeah, most people didn't do them all. It was just a vehicle that you could like get a discount on by playing the game for the most part. That's probably the best way to describe that. So, as you can see here, to start off with, we're against a Super Conqueror. This is a tier 10 game, by the way. I didn't actually mention that at the start, but it's a Super Conqueror who is firing premium rounds from the second shot forward, which is interesting, because you would think that that 120mm gun would actually be able to penetrate this thing's armor frontally without premium rounds, but for some reason the guy just immediately switches to premium rounds and doesn't really think too much about it. And I'm just trying to get as much damage into this guy as quickly as possible, because I know how strong and how formidable that tank is. So I'm just like, I need to kill this thing, or help kill this thing, or get rid of this thing, as much of this thing's health as quickly as I possibly can. I'm deliberately trying to go for critical areas on this tank, just to try and make sure it's limited in what it can actually do. So I managed to get a shot through his cupola there. The 50 TP manages to finish the Super Conqueror just as he's killed by the Scorpion G in the background. So that was probably one of the most important moments in that game there. That 50 TP sacrificing himself pretty much just to kill that Super Conqueror, because that is such a powerful vehicle. You really don't want that thing alive on your team, or well, you don't want that thing alive against you if you can possibly help it, because that tank is incredibly dangerous. And that was actually a really unlucky shot against that 50 TP. If that had been the upgraded turret, that would have actually been a hit, but unfortunately, because the stock turret is a bit smaller, unfortunately it just kind of went straight over the top. So we're against an ST1 and a Tiger 2 from the front. I actually haven't done that much damage in this game at this moment in time. I've got 1,840 damage blocked, which isn't too bad, but I've only done 917 damage at this moment. So pretty much my goal at this point is just to hold off this flank for as long as I possibly can, because we have nothing on this flank other than me, because the LT-432 is down in like the low ground in like the C3 area. So he's not really going to have much of an impact on this flank for a while. But you have a few different tanks that are in that sort of low ground area, so they could potentially help me out if I am rushed in some shape or form. But the LT-432 actually makes an interesting play and pushes forward onto like the high ground and gets shot into the Tiger 2, which causes these guys to actually come out of cover. And because these guys come out of cover, like the ST1 just decides, you know what, I'm going to keep pushing forward. The Tiger 2 takes some time to actually kill the LT-432. Now, this situation here could have played out very differently if the Tiger 2 had just immediately pushed forward. But the ST1 instead was left on his own to push forward against me. Now, this is one of this tank's favourite situations. It loves to shoot targets which are coming out one at a time, because the rate of fire on this tank will shred almost anything to pieces. The only tanks you really fear DPM wise are the Caernarvon, the standard Caernarvon, the Tier 8, and tanks like the Tortoise. Like, those are the only vehicles you really fear DPM wise in this tank. And that guy just bounced a heat round off, I believe, the roof of my turret, which was pretty nice. And he's pushing forward again here, because I think he's overestimating how quickly he can reload in comparison to me. And the second shot, he sticks directly into my tracks, which just allows me to come forward and just basically finish just destroying him. Like, that was, I think, nearly the full health of a tier 9 heavy tank that I took on my own. I did get reasonably lucky, I will admit, but that's why you should never push against one of these things whenever you're on your own. If this Tiger 2 had immediately helped out that SD1, I'd be dead. But the Tiger 2 kind of sat back for a while, and allowed me to fall back into cover so I could limit the amount of vehicles that could shoot at me. And that just resulted in the SD1 getting absolutely just obliterated, and that was actually a really unlucky bounce. But the Tiger 2 doesn't really have much of a hope against me in this scenario, because I have no real weak points that you can shoot whenever I'm using this amount of gun depression. And yeah, I'm just able to finish off the Tiger 2, and I also managed to kill off the SD1. And the TVP actually tries to fire a shot at me there. I kind of assumed he was behind the rock, but turns out he actually came around the corner to try and finish me off. But after that shot, he just decided to fall back and head back towards his base. So whenever he's next spotted, I'm going to start moving forward to try and like get one more damaging shot off, because, well, as you can see, I've used nearly my entire supply of standard rounds. I only have one AP round remaining. That just shows you just how many shots I put out in this game. Now, granted, a lot of them bounced off the Super Conqueror because I was just trying to put him under as much pressure as possible so he'd make a mistake, and thankfully he did. And I actually got that shot into the TVP, which is awesome as well. So let's start moving forward here towards where the TVP is, see if we can get at least one more damaging shot off in this game. But right now I'm on over 4,200 damage done, over 4,300 damage blocked, and 550 assistance damage. That's a pretty crazy game for Tier 8 Premium Heavy Tank in a Tier 10 game. Like, this tank in the right scenario is unbelievably strong. But yet again, I have to state this. If the Tiger 2 had pushed forward with the ST1, I'd be dead. But because they came at me one at a time, it allowed me to just focus them down individually and use the just raw DPM of this machine. And that's the last shot I'm going to fire in this game. Gets me up to 4,480 damage. And yeah, I fired one APCR round in that game, and it was only because I didn't have any AP rounds remaining. So as you can imagine, I was damn proud of that game after I played it. It was worth an ace tanker. It was over 1,550 base XP, and surprisingly enough, it actually wasn't worth a high caliber, which actually kind of surprised me, because it was the highest damage in the game, but because it wasn't like, I think like 10 or what is it, like 15-20% of the overall health pool of the enemy team, it actually doesn't count as a high caliber, which was actually a surprise to me. I kind of expected a high caliber for that game, but unfortunately that was denied a little bit. So I will admit though, this game was played very late at night. I woke up in the middle of the night and couldn't go back to sleep, so I just kind of figured, I may as well do something with my time, and played this game. And I was, yeah, as I said already, pretty happy with it, so I just kind of stopped for a while. Just going to kind of end it there, just so that I end on a high note. So yeah, pretty much the lesson of this video is just do not fight our Caernarvon AX in a hold down location on your own, and unless you're like a Type 4 Heavy, a Tortoise, or like a T95. Like, only supremely well armored tanks should fight this thing in a one-on-one fight, because this thing can and will hit weak points reliably, as we saw with the ST1 and the Tiger 2. So just, if it's a medium range, don't push into it, because it will shred you to pieces before it gets to you, or before you get to it. So yeah, it's just an incredibly dangerous vehicle in a hold down location. It's honestly just insane how powerful this tank can be. So yeah, that's just a bit of like a PSA. So let me know what you guys think of this video in the comment section below, and hopefully you enjoyed the video. I will see you in the next one.